Welcome, everybody, to Travel Your Heart, a podcast where two gay grandpas explore life's travels together. Hi, everybody. It's Grandpa Bobby.
Grandpa Scott.
And welcome to another episode of Travel Your Heart. So, Grandpa, where are we?
Good question. Well, as many of you know, we're doing a 6-week road trip through the United Kingdom and Ireland. And right now we are on the Isle of Skye in Scotland. It's a little bit windy, you might say.
Well, we're at the northernmost part of our trip. And if you look at a map, we're near a city called Dunvegan, which is at the northern tip of the northern part of a northern Ireland island here in
not Ireland.
Not Ireland, Scotland. And it kind of reminds us of the summers we used to spend in San Francisco. Beautiful, lovely, windy as all heck,
and rain.
A little rain,
Yeah.
and a little cooler. For those of you who are watching, yes, Grandpa and I are wearing identical sweaters. For those of you who are listening, it was a little cooler than we were expecting. So we stopped and we found these great sweaters. We're wearing, I'd say, Loden green sweaters, and we're nice and comfy, cozy. We don't always wear twinsy clothing that's not our brand clothing, but we wanted to be warm.
Yeah, we've talked to many people on the Isle of Skye, and they say this has been a very cold and damp August, or actually summer, they say.
Yeah, but it is still beautiful.
Oh.
You're going to see our videos about all of this, so make sure you stay tuned. But today, we just thought we'd send you a little podcast from on the road, talking about some of our experiences here. And some of the things that we've encountered are languages, words, and terms. Now, anytime we like to visit a foreign country, we like to learn the language.
Yeah. Or some words of it.
At least some words, some phrases. Now, coming from the States, we thought that'd be pretty easy. They speak our language.
Yeah.
Well, kind of.
Exactly.
Now, if you listen to any BBC shows, you'll have heard English accents, and they're very much like it. Irish accents are lovely and lilting. And now we are in Scotland. They're a little harder to understand.
They got a really strong roll. Beautiful language. Don't get us wrong. Beautiful language. But our United States ears are taking a little bit longer to catch all the phrasing.
Yeah, so we have to sometimes ask them to repeat.
Yeah, that's on us. It's not on the good folks of Scotland.
Yeah, I could have these people read the phone book to me. It is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just really great. But we thought we'd share with you some of the words and terms that we've come across as we've been on our journeys. So I will try to test Grandpa Scott's knowledge.
Ooh.
Okay, so Grandpa Scott, what do they call French fries?
Oh my gosh, French fries are crisp.
No, they aren't.
No, the French fries are
chips. Chips, you
Fish
silly.
and chips, that's right.
Chips.
Okay, chips.
But what are chips?
Chips are potato chips.
They're crisps. You had it right the first time.
It.
Your favorite food, French fries and potato chips.
I am so flunky.
Okay, I'll try another easier one.
Yeah.
What do you call a cookie?
Oh, that's easy. That's a biscuit.
But what is a digestive?
A digestive is a pretty tasteless biscuit. No, it's a tasteless biscuit. I'm sorry.
It's a cookie that is a little more simple and I'll say a little blander. And typically they like to have these with coffee, especially in the morning. But if you go into a store, it looks like a roll of cookies. They're called digestives, which, and this is not Maalox or anything. This is a cookie. It's just a little more simple in taste.
I bought a nice big package of lemon. When I thought lemon biscuits and didn't see the word digestive on it. And I spent a good 3.5 hours trying to find the flavor in that lemon.
Grandpa likes his sweets. Okay, if something is great, what do you say here?
Brilliant.
That's right. But when you're very tired, you're
Old?
no knackered.
Oh,
And
knackered.
Grandpa is frequently knackered after a day of touring castles and going up and down turrets. But when you're very happy, you are
Snackered?
no chuffed.
Chuffed,
I
that's
am
right.
very chuffed to
That's
be here
chuffed.
with
Ah,
you.
yeah. Yeah, you better be.
Okay, now as we drive around here, we
Yeah.
see that they have recreational vehicles.
Mhm.
How they get them up some of these roads is beyond me, but they do have RVs, but they don't call them RVs. What do they call them?
Caravan.
And doesn't that sound so romantic?
I know. I can't wait to go back to the States and say, Bobby, we're going to buy a caravan.
It always sounds like we're going to be going off on a caravanserai
Yeah,
out in the
really.
desert
Through
somewhere.
the desert,
Some of their
dunes, yeah.
phrases are just so elegant and refined.
Yeah.
Like in the United States, we have a divided highway.
Yeah.
But here they have dual carriageway ahead,
Yes.
which is just marvelous to read.
Yeah, it's so
Dual
sophisticated. Don't get
carriageway.
civilized.
Yeah, exactly. And when they're on vacation.
Oh, I got to back up, though. Okay. If you get off those dual carriage highways, which are very sophisticated, you get goat paths, or what used to be streets done by the Romans when the Romans were here.
And especially in some of the places in Ireland, if any of you know what a Hollywood driveway is, then you know what we're talking about. Basically, we're talking about a lane that is 8 feet wide. It may have a little like 1 foot section of grass down the center, and 2 cars are expected to come facing each other down this path.
Many a time on roads like that, I thought I was going to somebody's driveway. Nope.
Now, to explain, you will understand that, many times there are people who post videos online driving in their car, talking to one another. Oh, no, not in this car. If we had to post a video of us in the car, we would have to bleep every other second because Grandpa Scott is what you'd call a vociferous driver.
Now, that's not true. That may have been the case for the first 4 days, but I'm feeling very much, I don't know.
I'll remind you next time you start cursing out every local. Okay, so when you're driving along and you're going on your vacation, and you instead of having a vacation house, what do you rent?
Oh, a holiday let.
Right, and I love that. It's like, oh, we're on holiday. That's just terrific. And you may have heard the term bank holiday. Well, that means a vacation day. And a let is anytime something is rented or leased, it's for let, which is great. But if you want food and you want takeout, what do you order instead?
Takeaway.
Takeaway. I love that. Okay, but how about fancy a cuppa? What are you asking for then?
Oh, well, that's tea or coffee.
That's right. And that's usually a sit down, like fancy a cuppa. Oh, let's just sit down and have a little nosh.
Yeah, you don't take away a cuppa unless you're a tourist because you want the time to chat.
That's right. And usually it's with a biscuit.
Yes.
Or a scone.
And that biscuit is usually, if it's in the morning, a digestive.
Now,
see how you get it after a while?
You're learning the lingo. We've also, now in the United States, we have flat whites, but we've never really encountered them as much. I'd heard the term mostly on television, but here they're very popular. And just the other day, we learned, I said, okay, there is a latte, there's a cappuccino. What's a flat white? You asked the gentleman.
Yes, and he was very clear. He says, well, sometimes people don't like all the foam that you get with a latte or a cappuccino. And so basically a flat white, it's just that. It's flat on top. You don't get all that extra cream. But you still get the
steamed milk.
Yeah.
It's still made with warm steamed milk. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds.
So if you don't like all that foam stuff on the top, I'd like a flat white, please.
So when you do that, you're acting very posh.
I always thought that was a boring Caucasian.
No, a posh is not a boring Caucasian.
No, a flat white.
Oh my God. No, it's a flat top. No.
Okay.
What is, oh, you're not being posh at all, but what is posh?
Oh, posh is when you're being luxurious, elegant.
Very upscale.
Yeah, upscale.
Now, when we're in the train station, or we're in the subway station, which they call
the tube.
That's right. What is always the phrase they say? right before you board.
Mind the gap.
Which basically is don't step in the hole that's between the platform and the train.
Yeah.
It's kind of obvious, but it's lovely. And they write that sometimes down, mind the gap.
Yeah.
And then finally, when someone says, well, that's it, what do they say?
Bob's your uncle.
I never got that one. If any of you know how that term came about. Now, I'm a Bob. I'm also an uncle, but no one ever tells me Bob's your uncle.
Yeah.
I would love to know how that phrase came about. So if any of you know, please leave us a comment.
Yeah. I was, middle age before I found out how posh came about.
How did it come about?
From transatlantic crossings.
Port,
outward, outside, starboard, home.
Posh.
Who knew?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, while we're over here, we always like to try the local foods. And there are some wonderful local foods here throughout the British Isles that we've been trying. Some you may have heard of before, and some we have tried at home, but they're more frequent or more popular here. So we thought we'd go through a few of them and some of our reactions. So I'll start with my absolute favorite, and that is scones. Now, we have scones here. You can go to a coffee shop in the United States.
Yes.
Where
is here right now?
Here is the outer reaches of Scotland.
Thank you. Remember where your here is.
I know. Where am I? Anyway, in the United States, we can get scones at any coffee shop. But for some reason, it's just not the same. It's kind of like you can't get a great croissant outside of France. Yeah. The scones here, there's just something about them. I don't know whether it's the water or what they use, but they're great. And they come with clotted cream and jam.
Yes.
Tell me, Grandpa Scott, what the heck is clotted cream?
Something my cardiologist says I should avoid it away.
It's like clotted arteries.
Yeah, clotted artery is a lot of fat.
Basically, what clotted cream is, and I had to look this up. I thought it was over whipped butter, but what it is when they get non-pasteurized milk and they cool it down, the cream that rises to the top clots, and they serve that, and it's a cross between like whipped cream and butter, and it's heavenly, and it is terribly fattening and probably horrible for your arteries. But the key is, there's a big debate. What do you put on first, the cream or the jam? Or do you put the jam on first and the cream? Big debate here.
Actually, there's no debate. You just grab one, put it on, grab the other, put it on, and because it's all going to the same place.
It all tastes great, no matter how you put it together. Okay, so but we've been eating a lot of different things. What's a sausage roll?
Oh, please. It depends. It really does depend where you're going. A sausage roll is it's a ground up meat in a flaky sometimes it's shaped like a hot dog.
Yeah, sometimes when you're in the store, it looks like a hot dog, but the meat is very minced with vegetable and always a very, very flaky crust
on it.
Yeah.
And is there cheese in it? Like sometimes it
depends. I think it changes, but I don't remember cheese. But what's the difference, between then that and a pasty?
Well, a pasty, from my understanding, and I remember that on my maternal side, we have a lot of folks who came from the United Kingdom and Ireland, and Welsh was in it, and my blood. And it was what the miners used to take into the mines, and it was like a very thick taco. You know how taco shells are shaped?
I think it's more like a hand pie, we would say.
More like a handbag, if you think about it, because it has a handle on it.
It was a purse.
It was a purse. Those Welsh miners were taking purses into the mines.
We apologize to everyone in Wales. No, they weren't taking purses into the mines, but they were designed so that when you're mining, it's a very dirty job.
Yeah.
So the outer crust was meant for them to hold it.
Yeah.
While they ate the other crust that had a filling of meat and vegetables, and then they could throw out the dirty crust.
So it's like a purse.
Yeah. Well, okay. But what do they specifically call it in Wales?
This was interesting for me because when we tried to we
asked for a pasty.
No, and it says there, Oogies.
Ogie.
Oogies.
It was spelled
O-G-G-I.
Oogies.
You
So
know,
oogies or ogies?
any of our wonderful friends from, well, subscribers, followers, or even if you hate our guts, if you could just put in the comment section, is it pronounced
Ogies?
Ogie,
Oogies?
Augies,
Ogies?
Ogies?
Let us know. We would
Yeah, please, we'd
appreciate that.
appreciate that.
But one thing I know you really loved is the whole concept of Sunday roast. Every
Ooh.
Sunday throughout the British Isles, it's Sunday roast.
Oh yeah. The pubs would have them out like crazy. And I remember the very first one that we stopped at when we just saw the sign, Sunday roast, and it was a pub in a
It
small
was
little town.
outside of Bristol called the White Hart.
That's right.
I remember.
That's right. It was so. I mean, it was ubiquitous of
Yeah, they
the
don't
pub
advertise necessarily the menu. It's just Sunday roast.
out on the sign.
And you know you're going to get a heavy platter of meats. And what we had?
We had potatoes. Oh, the potatoes.
We had pork belly.
It was pork belly. The roast was pork belly, and boy, was it scrumptious.
And so it's more than just a meal. It's a concept. You go for the Sunday roast.
Yeah.
And it's very, very, very prominent.
Yeah, and in the pub, it's like conversation.
Yeah.
And not just
it's a big family
your
thing.
table. Other tables will talk and share. I loved it. I loved it.
Well, but the one thing that I found interesting was always included Yorkshire pudding. Now, when you talk to someone like me and I'm thinking, oh, yay, pudding. I love pudding. No, it's not a pudding. In fact, it's the farthest thing from a pudding I could imagine.
Yeah.
If I had to describe it, it's basically a deflated popover with a lot of brown gravy.
On it.
And I thought, well, that's okay, but why would you call it a pudding?
It was delicious.
Now, I know they sometimes call puddings dessert. A dessert is a pudding, but why is a Yorkshire pudding a pudding when it's actually a popover? If you know,
that could be the lyrics to a really great song.
Please let us know. I'm curious to find out because everybody literally is obsessed with a good Yorkshire pudding.
Yeah, they'll talk about holidays here.
And I don't know what makes a good Yorkshire pudding beyond an average Yorkshire pudding. So if you have an experience,
are they
Yorkshire,
always that kind of like flat little thing,
like they started out,
or do some Yorkshire puddings have
Fall?
Filling?
I have no idea.
So again, and send us an email if you're listening, because you can, or a text message. If you're seeing this on YouTube, put a comment in it and let us know.
What are we eating?
Yep.
Now, one thing you did have, which you said you'd had before as a child, was what they call shepherd's pie or cottage pie. Why don't you tell me about that?
Well, that's because, once again, on the maternal side of my family, we had folks from the United Kingdom and Ireland, right? And so Mom would make shepherd's pie. And basically what it usually was like on Fridays. And it was kind of a catch-all of a lot of leftovers, leftover, corn, leftover meat, leftover everything. And she'd make a pie out of it. But instead of a crust, it was mashed or whipped potato, whatever people used. And then she would put it in under the broiler and let that mashed potato just get a little brown, like a custard, if you will, okay? And it was delicious.
It sounds hearty.
It was hearty food. It was peasant people food. Well, you didn't throw anything out. And Mom and Dad were children of the Depression. You threw nothing out. You saved it and used it.
Made it into a pie.
And you could make a pie just like, okay, you made it first into a stew. And if the stew wasn't
left over,
you made it into
down the road. Another thing, which of course you've all heard about fish and chips. And yes, they eat them everywhere here. In the States, you'll typically have burger and fries everywhere, joints. And actually, we've run into very few of the fast food chains here that we have in the States. But fish and chips, every corner, everybody has it. And it's always a white fish. It could be cod, haddock. My favorite, I've become a connoisseur, has been pollock. I like that the most. And always with a tartar sauce or a mayonnaise. Fabulous.
In the bigger cities, we did see some of the U.S. chains of fast food.
Yeah.
Not so much in the small ones.
Yeah.
Though we did see, we can't name them, but we did see some that surprised us in some of the the
Yeah.
smaller villages.
But they
if you
thank
will.
God they haven't taken over
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Definitely their own pubs and their own little shops, but you can get fish and chips almost everywhere in
Oh
the
yeah,
island.
and please keep the pub culture alive
Yeah.
and the small cafes because they are as someone who comes from the United States, they're so wonderful to go into. The friendly environment, the food's incredible.
The beer,
The oh yeah,
the pints.
the
We've learned the
pints.
difference between a pint, a full pint, a half pint, and we've learned about hard ciders. As you can tell from our ever-growing bellies, we are definitely helping to support these establishments.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've gained a little bit since
Yeah,
being here.
there are more. There's more of us to love.
There's more to love. Yeah.
Okay, this is one of my favorites. Describe the breakfast here. Now, if you go anywhere, it's either called, depending on where you are.
Now, mind you, he's just asked me to describe it, but now he's
Oh, but now
going
I'm just
to.
telling the term.
Yeah.
It's either called a full English, a full Irish, a full Welsh, or a full Scots. But in this, you're getting the same thing basically in every single one of them, which is
Okay, you're going to get the egg.
right.
Okay, you're going to get an assortment of meats.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like bacon, but I'm using that term very broadly because bacon here can be a bunch of different things that I've discovered, from what I'm used to in the United States. And you'll get mushrooms typically, you'll get tomatoes,
Pork and
pork and beans.
is very strange to us, but boy, it is very popular here. It's very odd for me to watch someone eating pork and beans and tomatoes with their eggs.
Yeah,
but we did. Okay,
but very critically, there's another part to that. That is the blood puddings.
Oh, well, let me talk first. I wanted to say, if you want bacon like we get in the States, how do you order it?
Strippy bacon.
They call it strippy
because
bacon.
Of the stripes. Because I have ordered, I ordered a bacon roll, and I did. I ordered some bacon with some eggs and all that, and I got, to me, what looked like a brat, like from Germany. Okay, it was delicious. Then just recently, I ordered the eggs and bacon and I got 2 pieces of like ham.
They have very specific ways of doing their meats. Oh, and that's another point. If you order a hamburger, you're gonna get well done. Even when Grandpa Scott asked the waiter, "Can I get a little red?" No, we only serve it well. There is no E. coli here. No, don't worry about that. It is well done. But let's go on. You were going to mention blood pudding.
Oh yeah, that comes with breakfast.
Yeah,
okay?
which is
and there's 2 types. There's like a light brown, which I understand to be the pork, and then there's the much darker, which I understand to be the beef. The beef.
Now, I was brave enough to try it.
We both did.
No, I tried it more than you.
We both did.
Anyway, so what it actually is, it's the byproducts or offal, I think, of the animal, and it's once again minced up and ground up, and it is combined with rice and
barley,
and it's combined with animal blood, which is why it's called blood pudding. Once again, not a pudding. Nope, no pudding, no dessert here.
Well, not like we're used to in the United States. Okay.
And it tastes. It's an acquired taste.
Well, the pork one, the lighter brown one, was a bit moister. I did find the beef one, the darker one,
pretty dry.
I did. But you know what? You look around the room and people love them. Are just eating like crazy.
In their pork and beans, their eggs, and their blood pudding for breakfast. And
so the issue is with us, people, not the food.
That's right. And once again, try things. You never know. Now, the one thing I have loved since being over here is seafood. I grew up eating a lot of seafood. My maternal grandmother family was from Gaeta in Italy, and so we were always a very seafood-oriented family. I have loved it here. Funny thing is, Grandpa Scott was all excited about coming over here and having what?
Clam chowder. And guess what?
They ain't got no
They
clams.
ain't got no clams here.
They looked at him like he was like, huh?
They don't. I thought clams, ocean, they're everywhere. Well, not around the UK apparently.
No, or at least they don't farm them.
They don't somehow, because you just can't get any clam chowder
Nope.
here.
But you can get Irish chowder, which is a wonderful creamy based soup with chunks of seafood in it. And oh, it's wonderful. Salmon, especially here in northern Scotland, been fabulous. But instead of clams, they do have mussels. And we'll show you some pictures. I have been eating, I'm surprised there's any mussels left alive here because I've been doing my part. They are wonderful.
And I've been so proud of you.
Yeah.
Helping the fishing industry around the United Kingdom and Ireland.
Yep, yeah, just watching me eat. But now the other thing you've been really getting into is soda bread, which I know we must have it in the States, but I hadn't really heard about it.
Again, I had soda bread as a kid because of my mom and family coming from here where we are. And it's not a yeast bread. And it is a little grainier, you know, and a little darker usually. And I love it because of the texture and the flavor. And I love it with butter. I think it makes great toast.
Especially, Irish butter in particular we had, which is, there's something about the creaminess of obviously the fats that make it wonderful. Yeah. But so it's the soda, the baking soda is what's the leavening agent. Yeah. So that's it's fun to try. And there are still things we haven't tried yet. We have still a couple more weeks.
Yes, I have to.
Go ahead. You're going to try it, not me.
Haggis.
Yeah. That is made from the sheep belly, or no, sheep intestine.
Can we not talk about what it's made of until I eat it?
Yeah,
okay?
kind of like sausage.
I have been very careful to avoid anybody who wants to talk about what it's made of. But because everybody says you'll love it when you eat it. Just don't get told what it's made of and
kind of like you don't want to know what goes into sausage or how
it's made. Same thing. Yeah. You don't want to know what goes into that morning sausage that you get.
But we also still need to try the national dish of Great Britain, which is
chicken and fish and chips.
No, chicken tikka.
That's right.
Indian food here is fabulous, and chicken tikka actually is invented here in Great Britain. It's not a traditional Indian dish, but it is really popular. You can get it everywhere. We just have to, maybe when we get back to London, we'll have it.
It was created in England.
Yes.
Not Great Britain, in England.
Well, I don't know specifically.
I thought it was just in England.
Well, let us know if you know in the comments whether it was made in Great Britain or if it was made specifically in England.
Yeah. Hey, and also what we'd love, we're here in Scotland, and we will be going back down to England to finish touring in there where we started. So if you have any food suggestions that we can try, feel free to text us if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, just put it in the comment section. Something, hey, Grandpa, let's try this when you're here or there.
I've heard of coronation chicken, which I understand was a recipe created when Queen Elizabeth was coronated. And I've also heard of cockaliki soup. Now, I saw a can of it in the store, but I figured, if you really want to try what this is, it looks like chicken and vegetables, but I'm not sure. So you have any suggestions for us?
And the one thing we should have tried, and I feel bad about this, but we didn't find out about it until late, was when we were in Dublin, the taxi driver said we should try
cockly. It's a stew. It's a different than Irish stew.
Yeah.
But cockly, whatever.
And it is the dish of Dublin. And I
missed a meal.
Please. Yeah, but if anyone knows what it is, and again, to everyone in Dublin, we're sorry we missed it. We just learned about it that last day.
Yeah, going to the airport.
Yeah.
So,
So
yes, we're doing our part, gaining weight for you, so that we can tell you all about the different foods of the British Isles. So, what do you think of this episode, Grandpa?
I loved it because it's kind of like reliving some of the moments that we've
Yeah,
had in the previous weeks, but also setting up all the excitement about the week still ahead that we have. Because this has been an epic road trip for us,
an
guys.
adventure.
Oh, we have, wait till you see the videos, which leads me to say, if you're not a subscriber to YouTube, we'd love it if you would, because you're going to see some incredible um, videos coming out about our trip. And you're going to see some things that other YouTubers have posted about, of course. But we went out of our way to find things that were
Unique and
a little different on this. And we think we have found some real jewels.
So please subscribe to Two Gay Grandpas Travel on YouTube. We'd appreciate it if you'd leave comments, and also hit the notification bell so you can be notified of our upcoming videos. It helps with those all-important algorithms, and those likes and those views help us to grow our channel and help us to be able to bring more videos to you.
Yeah. And if you would like to, and really appreciate it, to subscribe here to our podcast, because 50% of every subscription is being donated or will be donated to the Trevor Project, which does just yeoman's work for young people in the LGBTQ plus community. There's a lot of need out there. So it's a good way to, one, hopefully have some fun with us, but also help out a wonderful cause.
Yeah, and so we hope you like the ramblings of these two old gay grandpas. We'll try to bring you some more pretty frequently. We'll see if we can do another one on the road before our trip ends and see where our journeys take us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you all for tuning in, listening in, watching, however you encounter us. And we appreciate it. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Grandpa.
Yeah, appreciate you too, Grandpa.
And always remember, we always say, whenever you travel, travel your heart. Bye-bye, all.